Now it's time to be dangerous. Now it's time to get risky. Now it's time to truly find out what you're made of and what you could achieve. Now it's time to truly find out how many lives you can impact. Now it's time to find out what you were destined to become.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to Raw Minds Podcast. I'm your host, Eric, and this is a place where we keep it real. No fake, no front in here, just real talk about life, pain, and growth. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe, drop a comment, share this with a friend, even hit the follow button. That's how we grow this movement, and it brings real voices to the table. So I just want to say today's guest is someone who's helped men face one of the hardest things to talk about: sex, shame, and intimacy. His name is Rob Kancler, the man behind the Bedroom Genius. Rob spent over 20 years studying how sex shapes our confidence, our energy, and even our mental health. He's worked with thousands of men, helping them drop the shame, find their power, and build real connections. This episode is going to be raw, honest, and maybe even uncomfortable, but that's how growth starts. So buckle up. Let's get into it. And here's Rob. Hey, Rob, welcome to Raw Minds. I hope I said your name properly, your last name, did I? I hope I didn't botch that.
Basically, nobody does. It's Kancler,
Okay.
but close.
Kancler.
I like the
Okay.
French accent on it, made it look cooler. Yeah, thanks. Well,
Sorry
thanks for having
about
me
that,
on,
but
Eric. Happy to be here, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, so right off the bat, man, can you please just plug the shit out of everything that you want people to know? That's how we love to do it, man.
Yeah, sure. Sure. So I run a couple different programs. One of them is more like a community. It's an international community of men who really like the work that we do. And that's more of like a deep dive, not necessarily a point of entry. And we do an 8-week course. That's a way for people to go from 0 to 60 into taking more responsibility for this part of life. That's, from my perspective, I think it's one of the most neglected and high leverage things that you can do to change the quality of your life. The way that I like to frame it is, if you get the sex piece right, not only will you be having amazing experiences and giving amazing experiences to whoever you're with, but accidentally in that process of figuring out how to have a great sex life, you're going to become a better person in the process. So it's a very real consequence that I've seen over and over and over again, that things related to your mindset and your mental health, your emotional intelligence and your empathy, your communication skills, all of these things that are necessary to succeed in so many other domains of life, you inevitably will be leveling up all kinds of different layers and aspects of these parts of the human experience and of masculinity while figuring out how to have a good time. So
I mean, it's ecstasy right there, right? You know what I mean? That's ecstasy right there, man.
yeah, and it's also incentivized, right? Like if you ask a bunch of dudes like, hey, do you want to talk about your shame and like, develop your emotional intelligence? That most men are like, no, bro, I got shit to do. Like, don't be weird.
Yeah.
But if you're like, hey, you want to have the best sex of your life over and over and over and over again until you're an old man and give whoever you're with the most amazing orgasms humanly possible, like, show me a guy who doesn't want that.
Yeah.
I don't know those guys. I've never met those guys. So, and the reality is, the only way that I would know how to help people to get that outcome is to have a deep conversation and to really look at all this stuff that's really about what is going on internally and how does that relate to culture and where we came from and rough stuff that happened when we were young, and this whole cultural toxicity related to where it really starts is religious indoctrination. And even if you weren't raised religious, those underpinnings are in our world everywhere. You can't get away from that. This kind of shame and confusion and suppression and ideas of sin and our sinful nature and all this sort of shit is really baked into the world that we all grew up in and live inside of. And then how that gets kind of stacked in with pornography and all kinds of other weird shit. It's just basically impossible to have a healthy and thriving, abundant sex life unless you learn how. And one thing that I've seen is that, like, a lot of men come up against this belief that to get help, not just in this area, in a lot of areas that relate to the quality of your relationships, your mental health, and certainly in sex, that it means you're weak. It means you're less than. It means, like, I had a guy at I live on Long Island right here outside of New York City, and I had a dude at the gym that I go to. I was talking to some other guy about my work, and this guy chimed in and was like, what kind of fucking dudes are in your programs, bro? Like, they have to learn how to fuck? Like, what is wrong with people? Like that was his, and I'm like, that's exactly what it's like. It's exactly what it's like, right? And like one thing that you can't really say this publicly, but it's almost like a joke, is that like I can't fuck your wife for you so she can tell you that you don't know what you're talking about. That's like, it's like it's such a weird and delicate conversation where
But
people
I
are
mean,
like,
it makes
no, bro,
sense.
I got that. I'm covered in that area. And it's like there's no accessible way that I could let you know how fundamentally wrong that you are. And it leads into a greater theme here where I think that most men have never had an honest and open conversation with other men about sex ever. Like literally ever. They have never ever had an honest and open discussion with another man about the subject, with other men, with their friends.
I haven't. I'll tell you straight up. I don't think
Well,
I've
Eric,
ever
me and
had.
you me and you had a chat the other day, bro. So I would say
But
you had at least
like
one. You
outside
had
of
at least
this, okay. But yeah, there we
I'm
go.
just
Okay.
teasing you. Yeah, for real though. And it's like this is such a deep thing, right? And it's like when it does come up, there's all this like, haha, I'm such a stud and whatever. Or people get really uncomfortable in the sense of just like, hey, this is an important part of my life. There's some stuff about it that's really intriguing and awesome. And there's stuff about it that's hard and confusing. And like, in the programs that I run, there's a part of, let's call it the healing or restoring process that's just like, hey, let's just be honest. Like there's nothing to be ashamed of, all of this. So I'll set it up like this, right? We all basically go through more or less the same process that I've discovered over the years of doing this, where somewhere between age 8 and 12, when our sexuality starts to come online, computer just glitched. We back? Check.
Yeah, you're still good, man. It's all
Okay,
good.
cool.
Yeah, you're okay.
Yeah, so somewhere between the age of, let's say, 8 and 12, guys start to have their sexuality come online, and you start to kind of go through this pre-puberty time where your sexuality is like, hey, this is intriguing. What is this? This is cool. This is interesting. And then just shortly after that, it gets super confusing. We're ashamed. We're isolated. We're confused. We get access to porn. Our older brother or like some kid down the street says some weird thing that's confused. It's just like layers and layers and layers and layers of confusion, isolation, mixed messages. It's super strange from this very innocent and good feeling part of our development, just getting layered on top of it a bunch of weird and a bunch of like, you can't really talk about this openly. You can't share because if you're, if you come across as being weak, then that could mean something bad, or you're going to be bullied, or people will make fun of you, or it might mean that there's
Especially as
something.
kids, man.
For sure. Yeah. So there's immediately this sense again where it's like there's this innocence and this goodness that just gets kind of met with this like, whoa, I need to keep this to myself. There's so many things that I don't understand, but I can't make mistakes publicly. I have to really hide this part of me. And then porn comes into the picture. And then many years later, maybe we get our first girlfriends. And then it's just insane. It's just utterly insane, this departure from this kind of innate instinctual part of who we are as boys on our way to manhood just gets completely corrupted by this very bizarre culture. So we have to, in a way, undo that, or at least kind of find a way to step outside of that and into something that's actually about wisdom and honesty and what works, what actually creates the result that we're looking for. In a very basic way, we can say, like, what is a winning sex life? What's a winning set of behaviors and a mindset that actually support what we all want? Right. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, is like there's like a breakdown between what seems like we all want this. We all want to have a lot of really good sex throughout our lives. And almost no one at all has that. Like literally, I think that like probably 99% of straight men, if you could just ask them what they want, they would say like, I love to have great sex all the time.
Yeah.
And then basically no one has that.
Why are you saying though what that is like the full body experience? You know what I'm talking about? Like the full tantra, like the whole where you can feel it through your whole body. I've heard about this, right? Like these orgasms you have that are just like mind blowing. You know what I mean? I think we talked about last time where it's like it's breathing, where you're just holding each other's hands. Are you talking about like to that sense?
Yes and no. I mean, it's also about
Okay.
like horny fucking and like having
Okay,
your
yeah.
cock worshipped. It's like it's the full thing. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like
Okay.
we're men. That's what we want.
Yeah.
We probably both want like tender, sweet time with a lady, and we also want to fuck. and we want someone to
Yeah.
worship our
You got
dick.
both sides.
Yeah, of course. It's like there's a
Yeah,
part of us
yeah,
that's really primal and horny, and there's a part of us that's really tender and wants intimacy. And like that's just
yeah,
real. And if, most
yeah,
people
yeah,
who don't admit that they want that, it's just because they think that that means that they're weak and they're not ready to
yeah,
admit that that's the truth. But it seems like this is without variation just how humans are. It's how men are. Is like we want this primal expression, and we want a woman who likes to get fucked by us and to go there with us, and we want intimacy. We want emotional
yeah.
intimacy and real connection. So it's all that, it's all of that. But you said something that's really important that I want to circle back to, related to, I could frame it as like genital focused sexual experiences and arousal, or like whole body turn on, just to throw some language out there, where this is kind of getting more into the detail of the work, but basically what I've seen in my own life over the years, and certainly from doing this with lots of other people, is that we end up, because of what we were talking about, because, we grew up with porn, we were influenced by porn, there's some weird cultural undercurrent of shame and hiding and isolation, that our bodies get really contracted. And this relates to mental health, it relates to our relationship with our emotions. So when we start to get aroused, which obviously is rooted in your balls, literally, that the charge, like the sexual charge, is focused in that area of your body, like connected to your genitals, your prostate, your balls, your dick. So when you get really aroused, there's this feeling of charge building in that part of the body. And what most people experience is that when that charge builds, they need to bust. Like literally, it's like, oh, there's this charge. But what we found is that, like, when you learn how to open your body and have a soft belly and breathe deeply all the way down into your belly and your pelvic floor area, that charge can basically swell into your whole body, like into your thighs, into your belly, into your back muscles, into your butt muscles. So this power, this sexual power that might otherwise just be kind of stuck in your balls and dick, can fill your whole body and eventually fill her body when you learn to play with, we could say, subtle energy or sexual energy. Then it's a whole game that most people don't even know is on the menu. It's like we don't even know that that's a thing. We don't
Yeah.
even know that there are all of these things that are not just for like, well, that's for spiritual dudes who meditate and do yoga or whatever. It's like, no, this is for regular people. It's not like some complex shit. It's like you learn to breathe and organize your body differently, and the quality of experiences that you can have and that you can offer a woman are so fucking far off the map of what people know exists. It's one of those things where it's just like, what, like if you talk to people who have been there, they're just like, why would I ever do that other thing again? It's like,
Yeah. See,
why?
you're gonna laugh. You're gonna you're gonna laugh, but and don't think it this the wrong way. But so the first time I ever kind of really knew about this, like not experienced it, but like saw it or like heard about this, was in the movie Meet the Fockers, and it's one of
Okay.
the episodes where they go to the other parent's house and they're kind of hippie stuff, but his wife teaches like tantric and
I
karma and all
remember
that.
this kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
where I kind of was like, okay, this is interesting. So I kind of just looked it up, and then I found out about like people even just sitting in front of each other and breath work and having orgasms just through breath work and all that other stuff too. And that's where So
Yeah.
that's what sparked that movie is where it kind of it sparked my little rabbit hole there. So yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's cool the different ways that this kind of comes into the mainstream. And I would say that it's usually depicted kind of as you're saying, of like, this is for like weird hippie people or
Yeah.
whatever. And I think part of my mission, and not even that I like consciously thought about it like this, but just what I'm noticing over the years of doing this, is like, I really want regular dudes to realize how relevant this is for what they care about. This idea that like I really do believe that the only reason why people don't care about this and make it a priority to like learn this and get it going is because they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I think if they knew what it
Definitely.
was, they would just be like, what the fuck am I doing? Like I need to learn that.
The thing is about humans, and I say this always on my podcast multiple times, is we always want to know the outcome, right? We're always scared of uncertainty, you know, And that's why we're always wanting to figure out, the best stats on the best hockey team or whatever it may be, because then you can figure out, okay, that team's going to win or whatever it may be when you're betting. You know what I mean? We always want to know the certainty. And when we don't know, we get scared, and change is scared too. And that's a huge thing in our society is a lot of people are just too scared to take that step and see, and that's even in relationships, man. Like you're too bonded to that person, and like you don't even love this person, but you're just there because it just so, that's what you're used to,
Yeah.
and you're too scared to take that step. It's the same thing as in all aspects, man. That's what we're lacking as humans. Definitely, we're too scared.
Totally. Yeah. So this is one of the reasons why. So I do a lot of work online because it's easier for people to just like join a Zoom program or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've also seen that, right in line with what you're saying, doing in-person events helps so much, because it's not like, oh, there's this fucking weird thing, what are we doing? It's like, no, you're in a room, a bunch of people, you're like, yeah, these are just people that I would hang out with, this is totally chill, and we're just doing new shit. And then you have that for life. It's, you know what I mean? It gets normalized. It's like, oh, doing these kinds of practices, it's weird just because I've never done it before, not because it's not for me and not because there's anything wrong with it. It's just, I've never done this and I don't know any people who do this. So if I hear about it, it's just kind of like, I don't know what that is, whatever. Like I just stay in my lane. So, it is one of those things where it's like, once you see it, you kind of never go back. And I'm not just making this up. It's been from many, many years of watching what happens for people. Is there's almost these mini breakthroughs where people just kind of realize that there's a bunch of stuff that they didn't know about yet that means a lot. And it really impacts the quality of our relationships and the quality of our health, and even stuff that has nothing to do with sex. Like literally nothing to do with sex. Like the sense of like, when men know how to utterly and completely satisfy a woman sexually, they feel themselves differently. Like their manhood is felt differently. And that's something that I think you can never fake. It's like, I think that men really are affected by this on a level that is way deeper than our awareness. Like that sense of like my base creativity, my sexuality, the way that I fuck a woman is something that it's like, yeah, I know this part of myself to an extent, but where it truly is like, I know that this is a part of my nature. It's not something that I have to strive for or pretend or hope is true. It's like, just like the way that you fucking sneeze or wipe your ass is like, this is a part of who I am. And it's like, that changes guys. It changes the way that they carry themselves and the way that they feel. There's almost this like warm smile, this feeling of just like, yeah, like I know my manhood. And I think that this is like, yeah, I imagine that like, given your background, the same thing is true with violence or fighting, right? It's like, if a man has never experienced himself in a physical altercation, it impacts his manhood so much, right? It's like that feeling of just like, this is reality. Like this is the bottom of the fucking thing that we are as men, is like, we're alive and we reproduce and we're here to provide and protect ourselves and others. And a big part of that provision is the capacity to utterly satisfy the woman that you love. And again, when you don't have that, the consequences are usually invisible and they're fucking real, and I think that this impacts people's reputations. Even if people cannot put their finger on it, it's like, I just feel more comfortable around that guy, or I trust that guy, or like, I just feel good in his presence, or, women feeling more at ease, even if there's literally nothing sexual going on at all, that man is just, he just knows that he doesn't have to try to be who he really is. He doesn't have to try to have value, right? Like he just knows that my nature is that I am a competent, desirable man.
Yeah. And I'm good at what I do.
Exactly. Competence is one of the, competence and appreciation are such fundamental things for men. Is like, if you want to destroy a man's mental health, create a situation where he's not able to be effective and get anything done, and nobody appreciates him, and you'll just watch him bleed out. It's like, men, in a way, we're very simple in that. Is like, we
need some kind of purpose and just to do, you know what I mean? And either that's wake up, go to work, come back and provide, something like that, right?
Totally.
Totally.
It's like appreciation and competence, man. It's
well, they say men never get flowers. I saw this little girl, and she gave her dad flowers, and she's like, men only get flowers when they're dead. And then the dad started crying. That hit me hard, man. That I was like, whoa, that touched me. It's true though. You know what I mean? I just I had to bring that up since it's
I think it's true. And I also think that like when women go through their journey of really understanding how to meet men and how to have really honoring relationships with men, appreciation is a huge part of that journey. That like when men feel like really acknowledged for the way that they contribute and genuinely appreciated for who they are, it totally changes. You know, I've seen marriages go from being very like nitpicky and complaining and just like a feeling of like, yeah, we make it work, but it's not really
floating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not, it doesn't flow. It's not like super nourishing and fun. It's like we had our honeymoon phase and now we're just kind of getting along or whatever. That appreciation
Roommates.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. That appreciation from the female to the male is one of those things. And one way that you can really open those floodgates of natural appreciation in a woman is sex. Truly. That like when a woman feels deeply understood and met and satisfied sexually, it changes the emotional dynamic in the relationship a lot. And back to what I was saying at the beginning, to learn how to do that, you have to learn a lot of stuff about emotional intelligence and your mindset and all that sort of stuff too. So yeah.
I have something for you that you might like. I'm just smiling now because I used to always say this, and some people may not agree with me and some people do, but how I think it is, men hold the key to relationships, women hold the key to sex.
Sure.
Right?
I mean, totally. I think that that's true in a way.
Yeah, because traditionally, a man puts the ring on the woman to bring her into the family, right? You know, and they take the name. That's what, right?
Yeah.
But the women, then the women with sex, it's like, okay, let's face it, it's a lot easier for a woman to go get sex than it is for a man. Right? A man's got to
That's
put in
100%
work.
true. You know, I think that any reasonably attractive woman could just walk outside and find somebody to fuck in like 10 minutes. And I think if you are a man, to have that same ability, it requires a tremendous amount of skill. And this is something that a lot of men don't understand, that they think that there are men who are just attractive or somehow like are naturals, you know, like they just have game or whatever. And that's also just not true. Like it's a skill that you can learn. Like seduction and attraction is something that you can really deconstruct and learn. And for me, I found this to be, again, one of those points of entry or like a gateway drug into taking responsibility for my life and my creativity and the way that I come across to other people is, you know, this piece of like, how do you pick up women was a way that I started to really see where I could take responsibility for my life more. You know, somebody being like, hey, you know, the way that you talk to girls is something that you can develop like a skill, like any other skill. And it's the same skill set, more or less, that will support you in being a better communicator and to have more charisma and for other people to respect you and to have more compelling conversations and to contribute more, for people to listen to you better when you just start speaking in a room. It's more or less the same skill set. It relates to the way that you are in your body, what's going on in your mind. You got to kind of get all that toxic trauma energy out of the way that you present yourself and learn how to really calibrate to people and be attuned to their experience, but also not be emasculated and not be too careful and be willing to fucking kick a door down, you know, and like fill a room with your energy and, you know, do something regardless of other people's discomforts or whatever. So it is a great training ground for masculinity itself. So, you know, I do think that this is something that a lot of men, they feel kind of powerless. Like they just feel like, yeah, that wasn't the hand I was dealt. Like I'm not a fucking 6'4" supermodel, so I just don't get pussy. It's just like, that's not true, man. Like if you studied this stuff and you learned it and you found some people that you could learn from, I've seen people that are in really, really tough cases experience different results in a really short period of time. And even people that are in, you know, locked dead bedroom marriages, like totally sexless relationships, it's not what people think it is. People feel so helpless. They feel like, yeah, it didn't work out for me, or like, that's not how my wife is. And I love her. I could never leave her because of the kids or whatever. And
I think you put more damage on the kids, man. You know what I mean? Like for stuff like that, like if you're not in a relationship and you're fighting all the time and you two are just not working out and you've tried everything. I mean, face it, sometimes, you know, two people just don't get along. I really don't think it's good to stay together, because then you're fighting all the time in front of the kids. I think
Yeah,
that's
I mean, I think toxic behavior is obviously something to look at, but I think, the piece that I continue to feel just drawn to in my own life and in the kind of opportunity to help people out is just taking a real look at the topic of responsibility. Is like, what does it really
definitely.
mean to take full responsibility? And I love this concept of 100% responsibility. And that doesn't mean that, like, I own shit that's not mine, but it also means 100%. It's not 90 and it's not 110. And that's a fucking deep question to ask yourself, is like, what is 100% responsibility actually? For me to take full ownership of my life and the results that I create and allow other people to do the same. And when we create relationships around that, it works, man. It works. It's totally different. And what you're saying, like, there's sometimes like fundamental incompatibility between people.
Yeah.
But what I've seen again and again and again and again is we have a hell of a lot more opportunity to take responsibility than most of us think. And that's also confusing because it takes learning. It takes a skill set that we don't get. And back to the thing that I said, that a lot of men feel weak if they're like, yeah, I gotta fucking learn how to get along with my wife. Like, what the fuck is that? But it's like, yes, you do. Like, if you zoom out and like look at the stats, everybody, it's like, I saw a thing recently that was something like 45% of people in long-term relationships are not having sex on a regular basis. And, something like, like more than half of marriages end up in divorce. Is like, clearly we need to learn some shit if that is what is happening. And when people are
I think it's a huge part. Sorry to cut you up, but I think it's a huge part of your relationship, and a lot of people like, sex, but it's a huge part because it's a bonding moment. It's when you two are very vulnerable, you're naked, you're vulnerable, like all your parts are sticking out, everything, and you're with each other. I think it's a huge part of a relationship, and how you have it. So I mean, I've had been in relationships where I'm not gonna say who, but like it sucked, and then I've had where it's good, and I found that those relationships I've had great times with because it's strived. I don't know why. Maybe it was just because we were more in line with each other, and then everything else worked together. I don't know, but I just felt that it was a little bit, because I felt like that it was more damper on me, you know what I mean? And like I was like, oh, how do I fix this? How do I make it? And it just felt, and like for anybody out there that says, like sex is and everything, it's not everything, but it's a huge part of your relationship because you're gonna be with that person for the rest of your life, and that's what it is. If you're a cheating piece of shit, then that's bad for you. But I mean, other than that, man, like I don't know. To me, I think it's a huge part of a relationship, and if you don't think, I think you're lying.
Yeah. For me, it's like the question of like everything in its right place, right? It's like, it's not like we're not wanting to like be like, yo, let's do orgies all the time or whatever. But it's also this question of like, what is the rightful place for sex in our lives, and also within our communities. Like, this is another thing that I think people don't really realize, and you're kind of hinting at this already, is that like the dysfunction within a marriage impacts children, it impacts communities. It's not just in this little bubble of your bedroom. It impacts everything, and there's no way that it doesn't. And even on this subtle level, like, kids are so receptive, and even on like a subtle energetic, or we could even say psychic level, we are certainly different when we are having like kind, loving, warm, sexual good times versus not, especially if you can figure out how to have that be sustained over years and decades. That's a different life. That's a different nervous system. That's different brain chemistry. That's different mindset. That's different relationships. That's different vitality and energy levels. I could even say that it's even different posture. It's different movement patterns. You know what I mean? Like,
it's
if you
almost
imagine
like the annoying couple in the corner that can't get their hands off of each other, but they're having a great sex life and they just love touching each other because they just, you know what I mean? That's what it is right there, man. In a nutshell, really. I like, you know what I mean? You go to the party and you see that couple that are just like making out, just loving each other, all day, all night, while they're at the party. That's it right there. That's that in a nutshell. Like, just for the viewers to like kind of get a vision of what.
Great. I love that. Another thing we could say is, like, I had a guy in a program that I ran a couple years ago, they got 2 kids. They've been together like 20 years or whatever. They run a couple businesses together also, just some small, little around town businesses. And he said something like, the fact that we have sex like this on a regular basis just makes all that stress and all that hard stuff so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, because we have that resource. We have that like wellspring of goodness and nourishment and connection that we come back to multiple times a week. So all of this stress in our life and all the responsibility that we have and everything that we're up to with our kids is just like, there's this undercurrent of this like warm, loving, sexy nourishment that's just through the whole thing. And it's like beautiful. It's beautiful.
I love how you said that well. It's like, what is it? The infinity well or whatever, where you go and you make yourself better. It's like that. Definitely, man. That kind of gave me goosebumps. That's crazy. Just thinking about that. Good for them.
Yeah. It's like, if you imagine, like, I think this is really kind of anchoring what we've been saying, is that like, that's a different life, Eric. Do you know what I mean? That's not just a different 100%. Sex life. That's a different life. That versus not that is a different life.
Bliss, man. Bliss. It's like it's got like the white picket fence, every happy, you know what I mean? It's like you're happy. It's like everything flows, because not only in the bedroom, that's like the heart of it, I would guess you say, like that's where you make your family, that's where you make your children, everything.
Literally.
Yeah, exactly. And then it grows, you know what I mean? And that's, fuck yeah, man.
Yeah, and there's a couple different directions that we can jam from here. Like one of them is, I think that most men have never had the experience of their cock being worshipped. And I think that kind of is like a schism in our psyche, that there's this thing that we all want. And I think that this is also related to people's use of porn, is this feeling that like, I feel like my sexuality is so complicated and I don't really understand how to relate to women. But when I'm just alone in a room with my computer and my dick in my hand, I don't have to deal with that at all. I could just like leave me alone. I'm just fucking here doing my thing, but it's like, that's not for free. And we could say that's also a symptom of something else being off, because it's like, nobody actually wants that. I think everybody wishes that they were having sex with like a real woman. They don't want to be
almost like guilt, almost like a guilt in a sense.
I think the guilt comes later for sure. But I think that there's often this sense of just like, I don't know how to actually get what I want. So I'm just going to do this thing that's way less complicated, where like, there's nobody here to tell me that the things that I want to do are weird, or, you know what I mean? It's like, it's way more complicated to have to deal with a woman than it is to just deal with your fucking Google Chrome web browser or whatever.
It's like
Pornhub.
It's like, I guess it's like the AI's like fast version of getting where you need to without anything. You know what I mean?
And this is, dude, you're saying that like, this is fucking crazy, right? Because I think that like the direction that we're headed in our kind of technological obsession is AI bots and AI girlfriends. Because I think like truly the reason why we do that is not because that's better than real women. It's because we don't know how to deal with women. And we think that women are fucked up or we are fucked up. And this amazing teacher, her name's Allison, she said something like, a lot of men think that women are just kind of emotionally indulgent and soft men. And a lot of women think that men are just hairy, misbehaving women.
Okay.
And it's just spun, it's like we need to really understand the differences between the genders and really like appreciate that. Because I think, again, the alternative is that like we think that we want an AI bot girlfriend in Pornhub or whatever, when in reality, what we all want is, to have our dick sucked and to have somebody who likes getting fucked by us. And we don't know how to create
flesh.
that. Yeah, we don't know how to. It's not just the flesh; it's love, man. It's love.
Yeah. No,
it's like the real sense of a woman being like, "I adore you, and I want to serve you, and I want to gratify you, and I want to receive you." Is something that most men do not know what that is. They don't know what that is. And then what ends up happening is it comes out in this really fucking perverted way where they get into like, degradation and hardcore porn or whatever. But I think that like, that's just a big fucking contortion because we don't actually have the thing that we're looking for getting satiated. And then it comes out sideways in all of this extreme shit that we do on the internet with no accountability and no real kind of social glue. And this makes people act so fucking weird. Like the amount of people, like of younger generations, like dudes that are in their 20s, they have the amount of time that they've interacted with real girls versus the amount of time that they've fucking watched weird shit on their computer is like literally not like they've
Oh
spent
yeah.
more time watching weird porn than they have having conversations with real
Yeah.
women. So the way
Yeah.
that they interact with girls is coded with all of this insane, corrupted, perverse shit. Like they don't have the social skills. A lot of these people have tech jobs. You know, it's like they don't know how to relate to people. They don't even know how to have a conversation and deal with the nuances and complexities of having a relationship with a woman. So it's, I mean, it's scary, dude. It's like we're just like sliding off a hill into dysfunction that's getting held up by technology. And it's just, it's addiction. It's gross, dude. But like,
Well, people don't leave their houses anymore. You know what I mean?
they
They
don't,
don't have
and they live
everything's
alone.
there.
Yeah. And they live alone. Yeah. And
Don't
like,
touch grass. They don't even know what that means. You know?
yeah. And
People
they don't
know
touch
what
ass
means.
either.
Yeah. Both, right?
Totally.
Both.
Yeah, man. So it's like this thing, it's like, it's so funny to frame it like this. And I realize that my profession is really weird, but the sense of like, if you figure out how to have an abundant and awesome sexual life, your whole life will be better. And I believe that that's true for most guys, like truly the sense that like, if you figure that out, if you figure out really how to have a successful and abundant sexual life, your entire reality will benefit. I think it truly is one of the highest leverage things that you can do to improve your life is to learn how to socialize, learn how to pick up women, learn how to talk to girls no matter what the social environment is, understand the full arc of establishing intimacy and not from a place of manipulation, from a place of like, I'm being authentic and I'm being kind, but also I'm willing to lead and be a man and fucking, you know, be direct and clear about what
But
I
it
want.
helps both ways too, right? Like that's gonna
Women are
benefit
not
the partner
benefiting
too.
from
Women.
us not exactly.
Yeah.
Like one time one of my mentors, he was being interviewed by some lady and he was kind of talking about his work with pickup and seduction stuff. And this lady was like, so basically you just teach guys how to talk to girls? And he's like, yeah, basically. And she's like, well, that is so creepy. And he's like, do you know what's creepier? Guys that don't know how to talk to girls.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. I had a friend that was very awkward, and yeah, I was in my early 20s probably, yeah. And we're in my buddy's garage, and there's probably about 7 girls there, and there's like 3 of us. And then my buddy comes in and just so awkward. And he's like, okay, let's get this party started. And it was just like, he said some other stuff. I don't really want to go in it. And I shit you not, they all got up and walked away. And we're just like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
What the hell? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, though, the thing that I want to emphasize here, because I love the way that you're setting this up, Eric, is that those girls are not having a better night either because that guy didn't know how to create an environment where intimacy could happen. And I don't even mean just sexual intimacy. I mean where people can just be authentic and connect and just be open with each other and have a good time. That like women are not benefiting from us not learning this stuff either. Like it's, if we even were to look at like our role as men to provide and protect, we need to provide the kind of emotional fabric for our communities to have more intimacy and more connection. And this relates to, you know, just having conversations with your bros. It relates to the way that you talk to kids. It relates to the way that you handle when shitty things happen in a community. And it relates to this fundamental part of our lives that's about sex. It's like, that's, you know, and I'm not even suggesting any sort of like, oh, we should all be fucking all the time or whatever, but it's just the sense of like, there's a huge breakdown between what people would most enjoy and benefit from and what we're actually experiencing. And that's the thing I'm interested in. It's like there's this thing where we are all healthy and we have more energy and we have more connection and we have a better life, and then there's what we are in and how do you close that gap.
Crazy. And well, you're doing it right now, or you're trying anyways, or working, right, trying to close that gap.
Yeah. And you know, I think that like the reason why I do so many podcasts is because I want people to just kind of like wake up to this thing about like, where am I not taking responsibility for what I care about? Because I'm not trying to be like, yo, these are like, you should have the same values as me. No. It's just the question of like, is there a gap between what you actually want and would be most fulfilled by and what you are experiencing or on track to be experiencing soon? And if there's a gap there, that's an integrity issue and that you fucking take care of business. And there are tons of people that will help you. And it's so easy for people to be like, oh, I'll just do it later, or that's not that big of a deal. And it's like, you're probably not going to do it later. And it probably is that big of a deal. And it's so easy to just be like, yeah, I'm just scrolling Instagram or watching Netflix or whatever. And it's like, yeah, and then you're dead and nothing happened.
I think it's the first 15 seconds. I think you have like 15 seconds to make a decision before you don't, or whatever I think it is. So like, if you don't make that, I'm going to do this right now in 15 seconds, like a true like push forward in that step, then it's just going to be pushed back in the back of your head.
Sure. Yeah. And teaching stuff related to talking to women in public, what I often ask people to do is just move with your impulse, and not necessarily that you need to do that your whole life, but that's the opposite of what most people have been doing. Right. So it's like usually like, I better like, do I, the things that when people start to talk about what really goes on in their head, it's like, oh, she's too pretty. She's not pretty enough. She probably doesn't want to be bothered. Maybe that's her girlfriend. She's in a hurry. It's just like nonsense in their head. And it's just like, fuck all that. Like, you're like, hey, you're like, I'm curious about her. Just go talk to her. All of that shit is just nonsense in your head. It does not matter. It's just like there's fear in your body, and then your mind does a bunch of crazy shit. And now you're just fucking sitting there with your dick in your hand waiting for your coffee. Right. And it's just like, just get out of your head. Do something. Right. Like, it's the same thing.
Worst? No. Right. All they can say is no. And then what?
Like, there's nothing to eat. You're not even asking for anything at that point. You're just kind of like, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? It's like, it's just the simplicity of like, what happens most of the time is people are lying, Eric. We are in a public place having an interaction with other people, pretending that we're not, being curious about the people around us, pretending that we're not, wanting to like act cool and look cool, but we're literally all around like you're a bunch of mammals in a tight space sensing each other, pretending that you're not. It's just like, come on, people. What the fuck are we doing?
Out at the same time,
like,
right?
And it's such a different thing to just walk in a room and be like, hey, what's up?
I never saw that, man. That's crazy. It's
crazy. We're all lying. We're literally all lying and doing this weird social game. Yeah. And it's such a different thing when you just walk into a space and you're like, hey, what's up? How you doing? How's your day? Yeah. Like, where are you headed after this? What'd you get? You know what I mean? Just like small talk can be meaningless, but it's also important because it is the insulation. It's like
training grounds, kind of like, I understand
totally.
What you're saying.
But it's like definitely. From that place, you're already you're in the interaction. Yeah. From that place, you could be like, I'm interested in this girl, or like, oh, that dude seems cool.
Could take it either way or whatever.
Or you could be like, that's fucking weird. I don't want to talk to her anymore.
See you later.
Exactly.
Yeah, whatever.
Totally. Because it's like, a lot of people got their issues, but it's like, you don't know. I like to think of it like if you're walking down a hallway and there's a bunch of doors, you don't know if those doors are open unless you fucking push on them.
Yeah, exactly.
So just keep pushing on the doors, and you'll meet new friends, you'll meet mentors, you'll meet lovers, you'll find things to do that, someone will invite you on a fucking, whatever. It's like, we miss so many opportunities all the time simply because we are not engaging and we are not being authentic. And what I mean by that is like, again, like we experience curiosity over and over and over and over again when we're around other people. It's like, oh, that dude's got a fucking cool swag. That woman's beautiful. Wow, she has this like energy. Do you know what I mean? And she just like we're just holding it inside because we're scared and we don't want to do something wrong and we don't want to upset people, or we're waiting for this strategic moment to be cool. And it's just like, and then that never happens, and then you die. So come on, it's so simple. And I think that what I've seen is like the amount of abundance that seems to open in people's lives when they really take responsibility for something as simple as authenticity, just telling the truth of just like, hey, what's up, man? I see ya. It's like people are like, oh, that's so weird because you've never done that. That's why it's weird. If you break that habit and establish a new one, the amount of opportunities that are available in your life is just incomparable. Like it's unbelievable how many opportunities for cool shit happen when we just interact more and we tell the truth more. Yeah. Like I've had some wild sexual experiences open from me just being very direct, and seeing a woman and being like, wow, I just saw you and immediately feel like my whole state changed. And like, who are you? Right. And it's like
it's energy, right? That energy that you guys, it's some kind of energy, I guess. Like I believe in,
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, chemistry is real. That's real.
Yeah.
But the thing that I would say is that when a lot of guys do not socialize, Eric, what ends up happening is they don't have the social skills, and then they see their dream girl and they have no idea how to talk to her. And she's like,
Mhm.
that was fucking weird. Do you know what I mean? It's
Mm,
like, if you're
yeah.
not
Yeah.
socializing, if you
Yeah.
don't understand how to actually calibrate to people and to fuck around and like know what the edges are of how you can flirt and where you can make jokes and where you need to kind of let people have space and ask questions and be interested in their experience. Like if you don't know how to do that, and then you try to play in the Super Bowl of talking to the hottest woman you've
Mhm.
ever seen, you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna lose. That is
I
not
hate to say it,
reality.
or I hate to say this, but even like a Jeffrey Dahmer kind of type, you know what I mean? Like that. Like there's even people like that like get crazy because they've never had women, but then they've always wanted to have a women, then they go off and do something like horrendous, you know what I mean? And it like stems even from that because maybe they didn't deal with their own reality inside, or who knows what it
Sure.
stems from. But it could be. I mean, it could be. You never know, right?
I
Not
think
scaring anybody listening, but I mean, these are real factors that could be at play, right?
Yeah, I think that like stuff like that is so often just kind of like points me to how much, because we don't have community and we are not like, like kind of what your podcast is about, at least in part, is just like be real. Let's just tell the
Yeah.
truth and let's be real about like what's it like to be you. This is what I'm fucking
Yeah.
dealing with over here. That like
Yeah.
that's actually restorative, not just for
Mhm.
individuals, but for society, is that like we're not all holed up being concerned about ourselves and then getting like off the fucking deep end with our ideas because we're in community and we share and we're open with each other. And that in
Yeah.
and of itself is corrective. It's
Yeah.
like a nutrient. It's like we are pumping vitamins through the collective nervous system or whatever because we are doing the thing that we're meant to do. Like we are pack animals. We are
Definitely.
pack animals. Like that's how you are designed. That's how I am designed. There's no exception to that. That's not real. I think that like there are some variations around what we could say is introversion and extroversion, but I think that most people who think that they're introverted have just not had positive experiences of intimacy with other people. So they're just like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I'm just a quote introvert." It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, or
Mhm.
everyone you've ever met is fucking weird.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't want to go out and hang out with anybody.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
it feels
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, but again,
Yeah.
it's like this is why I think it's so powerful for people to kind of, explore what else is out there in terms of like alternative practices for connection and like what other people are up to because I think especially when folks get away from drugs and alcohol, there's this big gap and then they just end up lonely and sad and they don't have fun
Mhm.
anymore, they don't have friends anymore and they just fucking derp around and watch TV all the time. And it's like, that's not better than having beers with your friends. You know what I mean? Like, I get that
Yeah.
if you have a problem, then it's good to just be like, okay, that my life is going to get ruined if I keep doing this. That like,
Yeah.
I'll respect. I think that addiction is a really important thing to be honest with yourself about. But I see that even people that don't have drugs and alcohol problems, there's this huge movement away what for previous generations was the like cornerstone of their social life. Is like you go to the pub, you like have beers with your friends, you go to a
Yeah.
game. And because we don't do that anymore because we're trying to be more healthy or whatever, we are breaking apart the foundation of our communities because we don't do shit together anymore. We
Mhm.
don't, you know what I mean? Like we don't fuck around. It's like
Yeah.
people don't understand how to have fun and spend time
Yeah.
together unless it's related to alcohol.
I
And
went to the UK, man, and it was like so when I was in Scotland and I wanted to go to one of the old pubs, like the old school with the stone. I'm telling you, it was amazing.
yeah,
It was amazing and totally different over there. I hope it still is, but when I was over there, it was totally different. You don't go there, people aren't like sitting around moping talking about work and how
hmm,
depressed they are. They're talking about sports and just having a good time throwing darts. Like it was a great time,
yeah.
and like I haven't experienced that. I mean, like I go to clubs, yeah, music's playing, but I'm talking about like as a whole with people just interacting with each other. It was beautiful, man.
Well, Eric, I think what you're probably speaking to is there's a lot of different, let's say, like features of these kinds of social environments. Like if you go to a club, it's probably very different than like if you go to a pub in
Yeah,
Scotland or Ireland or
definitely.
whatever, that let's say 1/3 to 1/2 of the people there know each other. And that totally changes the energy in the space, because it's like, this is our community. Like this, you know, like we look out for each other. We know each other's kids. It's like, it's a very different thing. So if you as an outsider just plug into that, it's like, yo, these are people who share life. They share
brought me
life
in,
with
man.
each other.
It was me, my dad. Yeah, just me and my dad at the time we went there, because we were out in Scotland with my dad and his side of the family. He took me out to Scotland. As soon as we walk up, this guy goes, "Are you American?" My dad's like, "No, I'm Canadian." And then my dad goes, "Are you English?" He's like, "Fuck no, I'm Scottish." He's like, so it just kind of played back and forth with them, right?
Yeah.
And then we joked around, and then he came in, he shook his hand. He's like, "You know what? You guys are good guys. We're buying you drinks. Come in. I'll introduce you to everybody." And it was wild. It was like we were part of the family. It was like we went there every day. You know what I mean? Like, thank God I don't drink. I don't really go there but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, it felt like we were there every day, man, and like we were part of it. And it was we were only there for maybe 2 hours, you know, and it was amazing.
It's highlighting for me just how valuable community is and how much we miss it. You know, like we are not meant to be isolated. We're not even meant to be in this kind of nuclear family model. Like that's like a modern invention from like the Industrial Revolution forwards. Do you know what I mean? Like human beings have been living in community for fucking forever, since the beginning of time. And then suddenly 200 years ago, we're like, oh, we all live in like units of 4 or whatever. It's like, that's ridiculous. That's not how we are designed. We are meant to be in groups of people that support each other and take care of each other and, you know, fuck around and have fun. Like that's, and get things accomplished and take care of one another. Like that's how we are meant to be. And I think there's basically no way for us to not be impacted by the absence of that.
Definitely.
And it's such a deep thing of like, how, back to this thing about responsibility, how do you change that? That's hard. It's hard.
Yeah,
like,
man.
You know, for grown people, it's like how okay, it's like maybe some people listening to this are like, yeah, I agree, that makes sense. But like, what the fuck? I mean, I can't change that. It's like, you know, like maybe some people have church or whatever. Some people have like sports teams and shit like that. But like that stuff is often seasonal. And I think a lot of people are just like tired of the weird shit of organized religion. And then we kind of miss the gathering place. We miss that fellowship, to use a word that relates to religious communities usually, but that's real, man. It's like we really need that. We need that.
It's funny you bring that up, because he was actually just here, joined the live earlier and said hi, but I'm actually going to go to a men's club on Friday. I'm going to go try that and see, because that I like you said, I miss that. You know, I miss the wholesome, and like I'm in the position in my life right now where I'm focusing more on my work. Like I explained to you kind of offline what I was getting to. I got some other stuff on the go, and I'm just don't want to do the drinking and partying anymore. I'm leveling up in my life and trying to do something. And not saying it's leveling up, but like for me, myself leveling up, trying to like become a different person, right? So I'm kind of like
awesome, Erick.
Yeah, man. So I kind of stepped away from like my normal friend group, and I love them all, everything like that. And I'm a single father. I got my daughter full time. So now I'm trying to find something, you know, that's going to fill my bucket more. You know what I mean? So this is now the new step, because I stepped out of construction. I was making over 120 a year, no problem. And it just didn't fill my bucket, man. You know, it just didn't fill my bucket. I took this thing and now it opened my eyes. And now I want to be a life coach, you know, and I got to find my niche of what I'm going to go. I'm working it all out. I have somewhat of a program, a little bit of a start of a program, but I need to figure out the right steps so I can start making that happen. But it's called the Legacy Method. So it'll be called the Legacy Method, and it's pretty cool. I got there's 3 pillars with a phoenix rising above these 3 pillars, so it's a really cool logo. So I'm excited to pop this off when it all goes, man. So it's an exciting
journey. Erick. Hell yeah!
Thank you.
I wish you the best with all that, man. That's awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Excited. So we are getting kind of near the end, but I just want to say, like, can you maybe run a little bit about your, like, a program, kind of just like touch on a little bit, or something that you would do? Yeah. I'd love that first.
Yeah. So there's a couple things. I try to make it easy for people who want to just check out the work to be able to find their way in without having to invest too much time or money in it or whatever. So we have a assessment. And this also helps people to even kind of wrap their mind around what I'm even talking about. Because I think this idea of like, you know, take responsibility for your sex life or sexual mastery or whatever just seems so vague. It's like, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, like, are you,
Sorry, my dog.
you good?
Yeah. She was barking. She heard someone. Anyway, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go
All
ahead.
good, man. All good. Yeah. So anyways, we made an assessment. It's like a quiz basically, and you just kind of rate. There's a bunch of statements, and you just rate 0 through 10, and then it generates a response based on the way that you fill out the thing. So that takes like 10 minutes. It's free. You can get it at bedroomcompass.com, and it's a way for people to just kind of look at what are the actual building blocks of a great sex life in a way that's not unclear. It's like, yo, this is the shit. Like if you have these parts, it equals success in this area of life. So that's a thing that people can just check out. It's free, totally independent of anything else. And we do this 8-week program that's all online. It's we run it at a couple different time spots depending on when we're running it. But the next one is in October right now. It's at the end of September. And we'll do another one probably in January, February, more or less on an ongoing basis. We run that 8-week program, and it's a great way for people to just really fundamentally level up their understanding of their own sexuality and their ability to satisfy a partner.
Yeah,
and I've been doing it for years, and I've never had a refund request ever. I've never had any, like, the promise is you'll be on track to having the best sex of your life over and over again and satisfying anyone that you're with beyond whatever you've experienced previously. And nobody's ever come back to say that isn't true. Perfect. It's a great program, put a lot of care and attention to it. And we have fun.
And you can do it over Zoom, or you say somewhat in person. Okay.
Yeah, we do in-person stuff, but that's more of like a immersive. It's like a weekend format usually, but the online thing is easy, right? The next one coming up is Tuesday, Thursday, 6 to 8 Eastern for 7 weeks. We start right around Halloween and go to 2 weeks before Christmas, and it just works. Like, I've been trying to, how do I make this faster and more efficient and just trim the fat off of it every iteration? And what we've worked out is lean, and it works, man. It's a great program, man. It's a great program.
Isn't it beautiful seeing something like just develop too? Like, you have this idea, have this thing, and then you just mold it, and then each year it just gets better and better and better. I love that, man. Good for you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, and the community has been so supportive. One of the like, when I first started doing this, it was like, of course, like anything else, it was an experiment. But one of the things that really kind of hit home for me was the feedback from people's wives. It was like dudes like filled out their feedback survey or whatever at the end, and that was one thing. But yeah, like hearing what wives and girlfriends were saying touched me more. Like, it impacted me more, and I was just like, whoa, we gotta take this seriously. There's real opportunity to significantly impact people's lives and families and their children and the communities that we live in the world at large. And yeah, man. And it's fun. Like, truly, it's in a way a creative process for me, myself. Like, I enjoy it, feels meaningful, and the results speak for themselves. On the website,
and you seem like you're like me too, like raw, right? So it's just straight up, like,
dude.
And that's the best way to do it, genuine, you know what I mean? Like, that's how we are here, we get in trouble, whatever, like, sorry, but not sorry,
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
Yeah, especially with this subject, I think there's already so much shame and confusion. Being as genuine and open as possible is such an important part of people trusting this kind of unique role that I'm in. It's like, it's a very unusual situation for like some dude that they met on the internet or on some podcast to be sharing ideas that are influencing their marriage. Is like, that's a very touchy thing. Right. And so it's important, exactly as you're saying, to just be like, I'm not here to pretend. Like, it's just like, I'm a guy, and here's some shit that I've figured out has helped me a lot and a lot of other people. And like, I'll just give it to you straight.
Well, let's face it too. Like, a lot of men, like, you don't want to say, like, you don't want to admit your marriage or your sex life is shit. Let's face it, right? You don't want to. You're going to lie to yourself and think, no, it's great. It's great a lot of the times, right? But this is where you come in, man. And this is where they need to smarten up.
I love this. And the thing is, like, when people realize that their willingness, like their strength, and they're smart enough to tell themselves the truth, that is a very honorable thing to do. Right? Like, a lot of men are like, oh, if I admit that I need help, that means I'm weak. It's like, no, if you admit that you need help, it means that you have strength.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
man, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for, first off, thank you for reaching out and or Bambi, right? It's Bambi. Thank you.
Yeah,
for
she does this stuff for
Yeah,
us. Yeah,
so
cool.
I just want to give her a shout out, so you can
Hell
tell her
yeah.
that thank you for
Awesome.
her
I will.
reaching out.
Great.
I had a great conversation. You've you've helped me grow my mind a little bit more, and I think I'm gonna have to go down the deep end a little bit more, man. And what you sent me there, I'm gonna definitely look into that too.
Yeah.
So
Check out the compass. It's a great tool.
Yeah.
It really is. Awesome.
I
Well, Eric,
appreciate
thank you
that.
so much, man. It's been good to meet you.
You're
And
very welcome.
this conversation and the previous one we had off air were nice. Good to get
Thank
to
you,
know
man.
you, and I appreciate what you're up to, man.
Always. If you ever want to come back too, there she goes again. Here's someone else. If you ever want to come back, man, and you got some more stuff on the go, you're more than welcome. You know, you're part of the family now, man. So
Hell yeah.
feel
Awesome.
free to let me know. So if you guys want to catch Rob's stuff, it'll be in the description below. So all the links will be down there. And once again, thank you, Rob, and thank you everybody for coming out. And we'll see you guys next one. See you later.
All right.
Bye. Thank you, man.